And so we call him, Quincy called him, okay, here comes Smelly. And so his nickname was, for the insiders, was Smelly. So when I said it in the book,
right,
everybody goes, oh my God, Lionel called Michael Jackson Smelly. And I go, no, that's not it.
So Lionel Richie walks into Joe Rogan's studio and casually drops this bomb. Michael Jackson's actual nickname among his closest friends? Smelly. Yeah, the king of pop. The guy who sold over 400 million records. The most electrifying performer who ever lived. His friends, Lionel Richie, Quincy Jones, called him Smelly. And when the internet heard this, people lost it. Headlines screamed that Lionel insulted Michael Jackson. Twitter went nuclear. But here's the thing. The real story behind that nickname? It's not what you think at all. And once you hear it, you'll realize it says everything about what it actually cost to be that famous. This whole thing exploded when Lionel Richie released his memoir Truly in September 2024 and mentioned that he and Quincy Jones nicknamed Michael Smelly. The internet lost it. Headlines screamed, Lionel Richie disrespects Michael Jackson. Twitter went nuclear.
Legendary singer and songwriter Lionel Richie says Michael Jackson was nicknamed Smelly due to poor hygiene. Look here, Lionel. Tread lightly, okay? Because me and the Moonwalkers are not going to stand for this.
So, Lionel went on Joe Rogan's podcast to set the record straight. Here's the backstory. Lionel and Michael bonded in the early 70s when the Commodores opened for the Jackson 5. Michael was just 12. They became close friends. Close enough that Michael would crash at Lionel's house and raid his closet. Lionel didn't just observe Michael's rise to becoming the most famous person on earth, he lived it alongside him. And he saw what that level of fame actually does to someone. Let's start with how this conversation even begins. Joe Rogan asked Lionel what it was like watching Michael Jackson explode into superstardom. And Rogan has this theory about fame.
There's a certain level of fame that you achieve that's completely and wholly unmanageable.
Right.
And it's like the Elvis level,
Yep.
and I think he was like the first guy to really reach that level.
Yep.
And then it was Michael Jackson who went to a completely different
Yep.
place. Michael Jackson, he's even surpassed that,
Yep.
which seems more insane.
Michael Jackson, he's even surpassed that. And Lionel just goes, oh yeah, there it is. Because he lived it. He watched it happen in real time. And what Rogan's describing isn't just about having fans. It's about your humanity being stripped away piece by piece until you can't even exist in normal reality anymore. Michael Jackson's fame became so overwhelming that he isolated himself for protection, surrounding himself with people like Elizabeth Taylor who understood what he was going through because they'd also been attacked by the media. His fame wasn't just big, it was imprisoning. Now, here's where it gets wild. Lionel starts telling this story about being on tour with Michael when they were younger. They'd be staying at hotels, and Lionel would go looking for Michael to hang out.
So Michael and I bonded at 12, 13 because of the lead singer. So I went down to check him out, and I'd say, where's Michael? He's in the room. I go in the room. Hey, Mike, where are you? Okay. Where is he? He's hiding in the bathroom. The girls are out there.
Michael Jackson, hiding in a bathroom, terrified, because his handlers told him there were hordes of girls about to storm the floor. But here's the kicker. Lionel walks out into the hallway and it's empty, completely sealed off. No girls, nobody, just silence.
I said, girls, what do you mean there's no girls out there? They sealed off the floor. Come go with me. Now, they got mad at me because I'd walk out in the hall and go, come go with me. I said, you seen the girls out there? Oh, I thought they were in the hall, Lionel.
So let's process this. Michael's own people, the ones supposed to protect him, were manufacturing fear to keep him locked in his room. They were protecting the golden goose, as Lionel puts it. But what they were really doing? Training him from childhood to be afraid of the outside world. And while Michael's brothers, Jermaine Tito, got to go on dates, hang out, live normal teenage lives, Michael couldn't even leave his hotel room without being told there was danger lurking. Michael went solo, making monster albums, movies, and videos, and his day-to-day life became eccentric and chaotic. So now, we're getting to the heart of why Michael got the nickname Smelly. And it all comes down to laundry. Yeah, you heard that right. Laundry.
Imagine sending your clothes out anywhere, and you get half of your clothes back. The other half of your clothes are souvenirs.
Think about that for a second. Michael Jackson couldn't even get his laundry done. Hotel staff, dry cleaners, whoever handled his clothes, they'd just keep them. Socks, underwear, t-shirts, jeans. Everything became a souvenir for someone's personal Michael Jackson collection.
So what he would do is if he had a pair of jeans, right, he'd wear the jeans until they tried to run away from him. You understand?
People were stealing his
They're
clothes?
stealing his clothes.
Joe Rogan cracks up at this, but it's actually tragic when you think about it. On tour, if Michael sent his clothes to hotel cleaners, only half would come back. Everything else was kept as souvenirs, so he got into the habit of wearing the same pants until they were unwearable. According to Lionel's memoir, when Michael visited him, he was often wearing ill-fitting jeans and a t-shirt and wouldn't wear deodorant. Not because he didn't care about hygiene, but because the simple act of having clean clothes had become impossible.
The kid, when he was 12, 13, 14, sent underwear out, it doesn't come back. T-shirt out, no t-shirt back. Socks out, no socks back. So it's what he basically had was a new pair of underwear. Every time he put a pair of underwear on, it was new.
Wow.
Yeah, because it's just not going to happen. It's coming back.
New underwear. Because the old ones disappeared into the black market of Michael Jackson memorabilia. As Lionel explained on Joe Rogan, every time Michael put on underwear, it was new. Because the old ones never came back. Rogan jokes about how many pairs of Michael Jackson's underwear are probably on eBay right now. And honestly, he's probably right. Jackson's merchandise became so valuable that in 1984, he had to file a lawsuit in New York City to prevent unauthorized copies of his Thriller jacket and other merchandise, as expensive counterfeits could sell for over $500. But wait, it gets even more Michael Jackson, because this next story perfectly captures who he was as a person.
He'd walk in the house some days, and I'm looking down at his feet, and I go, Michael, your shoes are flopping on your feet. They're 2 sizes too large for you. I know, Lionel. The guy we were in someplace, he gave me a pair of shoes, and I told him, thank you very much. I said, but Michael, you could have gotten the shoes in the right size. I know, but I didn't want to embarrass him. So he's walking around with 2 sizes too large. You understand me?
Walking around in shoes 2 sizes too big, because someone gave them to him as a gift, and he didn't want to hurt their feelings by asking for the right size. Richie shared how Jackson would sometimes show up wearing shoes 2 sizes too big because someone gifted them to him, and he didn't want to be rude by refusing. Jackson's response was, I didn't want to embarrass the guy. That's heartbreaking, right? The biggest star on the planet shuffling around in clown shoes because he was too kind to say, hey, these don't fit. So now we get to the actual nickname. Because Lionel wore the same size as Michael, he started letting him borrow clothes. Michael would come over, grab some jeans from Lionel's closet, change, and then Lionel explains.
So literally, he changed clothes. And by the way, he left the clothes on the floor in the room and walked away from them. In other words, he'd wear them until he got another pair.
Michael would just abandon his old clothes and move on, because in his world, clothing was temporary, disposable. You wore it until you couldn't anymore, then you moved on to the next piece. Then Lionel says,
and so we call him, Quincy called him, okay, here comes Smelly. And so his nickname was, for the insiders, was Smelly. Follow me?
There it is. Quincy Jones gave Jackson the nickname Smelly. And Michael would laugh too, realizing that he was oblivious to the fact that he hadn't changed or washed his clothes for a couple of days. It wasn't an insult. It was an inside joke among friends who understood the absurdity of Michael's reality. Lionel even helped his friend out one time when he noticed Michael was smelling particularly unkempt and snuck him home so he could shower for the first time in days, giving him clean underwear and jeans. When Lionel came back, he found Michael's old clothes just lying on the carpet. Michael had walked away from them. Lionel wraps it up.
So when I said it in the book,
Right.
Everybody goes, oh my God, Lionel called Michael Jackson Smelly. And I go, no, that's not it. That's his name. That was his I revealed that.
That's hilarious. But it's so hilarious that people were just stealing his clothes.
Oh man, please. I mean,
The poor guy.
The media completely missed the point. This wasn't about hygiene. This was about a man whose fame had made even the most basic human. Activities, laundry, shopping, walking down a hallway, completely impossible. So yeah, Michael Jackson's closest friends called him Smelly, and now you know it had nothing to do with disrespect. It was a nickname born from the most surreal circumstances imaginable. When you're so famous that your underwear becomes a collectible, when you're so isolated that you hide from threats that don't exist, when you're so kind that you wear shoes that don't fit rather than hurt someone's feelings, you're not living a normal life. You're living in a prison made of fame. If you want more stories like this, the ones that show you what fame really costs, the moments that humanize legends, the confessions that change how you see music history, hit that subscribe button. Because we're diving deep into the untold stories of the artists who shaped our world, the ones you won't find in the headlines, the ones that matter.